going to be showing today is how to change a freeze plate on a Neptune T10 meter. What we have here set up is a simulation of what you would see under a home with the meter, water jacket, shut-off valves, insulation, and water line and heat tape. So at that point, you've got a meter that's busted, the freeze plate's busted, you've got water pouring out. At that point, you're going to shut off each valve on each side of the meter. This allows no water to come out from the home so that you don't backflow from a electric hot water tank. It will also shut off the flow from each, from the water service. At that point, you're going to take the water jacket off. And at that point, you're going to be able to see the meter completely with the heat tape and the swivels. At that point, completely remove the water jacket. Loosen up your swivel. It does have a rubber O-ring between the swivel and the meter. Sometimes they'll stick in there. Sometimes they won't. So make sure that you don't lose that rubber O-ring. And for this instance, we're going to take that off. I like to take and put that just on the shut-off valve. When you tighten these up, they should not be cranked down. That rubber O-ring works as like a garden hose adapter so that it keeps that watertight seal there. At that point, you still have your heat tape there. Typically, it's run underneath, over, and then back through. So at that point, this allows you to remove the meter completely. Now this meter is a used meter, but the freeze plate is not busted. It is a 1/2-inch bolt, and at that point, we just take and loosen these. This all can be done underneath the home. You do not have to take and bring it back to a shop, or you may want to get it in a nice warm truck, because typically when these bust, it's absolutely froze outside. When you take that off, you also have a plastic gasket. Most of the time these will freeze and break also. You also have a rubber gasket in that meter. When you replace these, all three of these pieces, the freeze plate, the rubber gasket, and the plastic gasket, will all be replaced. Put your rubber gasket back in, your plastic gasket, cone out, and your freeze plate. It doesn't matter how these go on. As long as the slots line up, you should be good to go. At that point, put your 1/2-inch bolts back. There is no particular order in how these have to be tightened down. I do prefer, kind of like a tire, to tighten them down across from each other. This allows even pressure on that rubber gasket that you put in. Also, these do not have to be cranked. Again, that rubber gasket does that tight seal. So now we have a new freeze plate on a meter. When you replace the meter has an arrow right here. At that point, this arrow goes towards the home side. If not, the meter's going to run backwards, so you're going to get a negative reading. So be sure that when you put the meter back on a home, that arrow is facing the home direction. At that point, you slide your meter back in, take your heat tape, wrap it around, make sure you have heat tape on the bottom of the freeze plate and on the housing of the meter. Take your rubber gasket, put it back in the meter swivel, tighten that up hand tight. Take your other side, put the rubber in the meter swivel. Again, tighten that up, hand tight. Now, technically, that should be fairly tight enough, but we're also going to just make sure they are snug. Do not crimp them down. Once you've got that done, you're going to turn the water on the off-house side, or supply line side. You're going to turn that on first. At that point, you're going to bring water into the meter. If you have any leaks, give it a second. It will literally show if you have any leaks. At that point, if you do not have any leaks at that point, turn the house side on. And at that point, you have replaced in the field the freeze plate on a T10 Neptune meter.